Sadie McCallum and I'm a 7th grader at Ware Middle School in Ware, New Hampshire, USA. And this is my invention, the A.T.O.M, which stands for the Automatic Therapy Orthopedic Machine. Now before I tell you about the A.T.O.M and what it does, I'd like to give you a little bit of backstory as to how I came up with this problem. So I was born with cerebral palsy, which is a condition that affects muscles, balance, muscle function, and just my general ability to get around on my own. And so a big part of my life has always been physical therapy and operations. I've had physical therapy after operations, and I've had it just kind of in general all the time to build muscles and stuff. And I also have had a lot of operations in the past to correct bones and muscles and things like that. So when I had one in late July of 2019, it was on only one side. It was on my left knee. And when you have an operation on only one side of your body, that means that that side is out of commission for a while, which means the other side has to work twice as hard. And because of this, my muscles basically trained themselves to not use my left side anymore, which caused long-term consequences in the future. I now have a slight spine curvature, and my ratio of muscles from my right side to my left is all out of whack. So when I went to my physical therapist, that made everything a lot harder because we realized that the strength of my right and left were completely different, which makes it a lot harder to build muscle in physical therapy, which is a big part of physical therapy is muscle building. And another thing that makes muscle building in physical therapy hard is I do something called cheating, and a lot of people with CP do it as well, which is basically when you use the wrong muscle for something. So I might use the wrong muscle for a certain walking activity or something like that. So I set out to find a way to solve both of these problems. So that's where the A.T.O.M idea came from. So to put it simply, the A.T.O.M is a device that is able to alert me when I'm cheating or overly using one side or just using the wrong muscle for something. So let me just turn it on, and you can tell that it's on because it's got this little light here using this switch. And when I tilt it, it vibrates. So this tilting represents your body going into the wrong alignment or using the wrong muscle. Let me show you on a demo dummy here. I've got two A.T.O.Ms on this one. There's one here to symbolize what it would be like to have spine curvature, and one here that would symbolize crouching, which is another thing that people with CP do a lot. And this can be placed anywhere on the body depending on where people with CP have issues using the right muscles. So let's just show here. So that's what it does when you move into the wrong alignment or use the wrong muscles. So the way that this also works is that it's fully calibratable. So this is a little foam base here. And in this pod as well, there's a magnet. And it connects to a magnet that's also in this base. And it can make this able to swivel, which makes it more or less sensitive to my movement. So see there, it's very sensitive, and then when I tilt it, it's less. So now the way that the A.T.O.M works is through a circuit board. So here's a slightly larger model of what the inside circuit board in the A.T.O.M looks like. So it's got this switch right here. That's the little light that shows that it's on. And when you tilt it, it vibrates. And the way that that's able to tilt and vibrate like that, what triggers that vibration is this little mercury switch right here. So I know you can't see that, but inside there's a little tiny drop of mercury. And when that mercury tilts in its tiny little chamber, it triggers this vibrator and this light. There's a little vibrator motor right here that it triggers right there. Now this circuit board is made out of copper clad, which is a thin piece of plastic on the bottom and a very thin layer of copper on the top. And when you make the circuit board, you take a very thick permanent marker like a Sharpie and you draw on the lines of your circuit. And what this does, when you soak this in ferric chloride, which is a acid that corrodes away copper, it preserves all the copper that's underneath the marker. So when you wipe the marker off after you've soaked it, you've got perfect lines for your circuit, which is where I load up my LEDs and my switches and my vibrator and all of those special components right into that circuit board. And it wasn't necessarily easy to figure out the layout of the circuit board either. I had a lot of trial and error trying to make it very small to fit in these little pods like this. This is actually a little bit bigger than the real pod, but it was very difficult to find a perfect layout because there's batteries in there as well, and there's a lot of other components to help make it powerful and make it bright. And the circuit board, it gets harder to draw as you get smaller. So I had a lot of trial and error with that as well. And in terms of originality, I looked all over the internet, Amazon, Google, everywhere, equipment-specific websites for disabled people, and I could not find anything similar to the A.T.O.M at all. And I talked to physical therapists, physician's assistants, surgeons, physicians, everybody I could think of who would know anything about any kind of equipment like this, could not find anything at all. And that means that this is a completely original idea. I could not find anything like this that marketed toward the people I needed to market to. And this is marketed toward disabled people and their physical therapists, because this is meant to be used during physical therapy to help build those muscles, build them equally on both sides, and make sure there's no cheating during physical therapy, which, if this problem did not have any kind of solution, would have catastrophic consequences. It could cause spine curvature, muscle atrophy, scoliosis, all these other issues that are very hard to fix in the future, and for disabled people can make it even harder to get around, considering they already have limitations. And so it is a very, very good solution for a very common problem, and if it were sold to physical therapists, they would be able to give their patients this and have them build muscle faster, stronger, and make sure they get on their feet, which is a dream that a lot of us have who have mobility limitations. And so it can be quite life-changing. So that's the A.T.O.M. I'm Sadie McCallum, and I hope you liked it. Bye!